Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of Port Clinton City Council of July 23rd, 2013. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, the Lord's Prayer, and a moment of silence for our men and women serving overseas. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mark Kepler,
Present.
Ron Ackerman,
Present.
Deborah Benko,
Present.
Kathy Moe,
Present.
Mike Snyder,
Present.
Nicole Frias,
Excused.
Randy Lipstraw.
Excused. At this point, I would like to read a statement from Mr. Lipstraw. Dear Madam President Harlob, I am respectfully submitting my letter of resignation for personal reasons effective the date of Tuesday, July 23rd, 2013. Much thoughtful consideration has gone into the weighing of my decision, and at this time I cannot give the proper time and focus required to the many things on my plate. It is necessary at this time to refocus and reprioritize my business, family, and personal issues and original prior commitments. I will continue my involvement in the many community organizations and projects that I have been a member of the last many years. It has been an honor serving Port Clinton as councilman of the 3rd Ward, and I am thankful to the knowledge and opportunities I have been blessed with by serving on council. I also support current projects the city has on the table and are moving forward on. Also important is to convey my gratitude to my fellow members of council and administration of Port Clinton, a great team. We may not have agreed 100% of the time on 100% of matters at hand, but we did so professionally and carried on as it should be. Respectfully yours, Randall G. Lipstraw. The clerk has given you the minutes for June 25th. Could I have a motion to accept the minutes as stated?
So moved, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Could I have a second?
I'll second, Madam President.
Thank you, Mrs. Snell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The chair notes that certification has been received regarding compliance with the rules and notification of this meeting. You will note the mayor is not here, but I will let you know, and there's been an email sent out that the micros presentation will be on August 8th at 6 p.m. at the Elks. And I would suggest you get there early. And there will be a section like we did last time for councilmen at the front. We will not have a copy of his presentation prior to the August 8th meeting. That's been at the request of the mayor. It's so that everybody sees it at the same time, including members of council and the public. So he's not going to see it. We're not going to see it. It won't be presented on August 8th. Auditor's report. Treasurer's report. Mrs. Hanson left those at each place, so you should all have those. Law director's report.
Nothing at this time.
Safety Service Director's report. Mr. Colston is not here. Last week I asked you to keep his family in your thoughts and prayers, and I'll ask you to continue to do so today. His father went into surgery for a transplant this afternoon, and are just kind of waiting to hear from how things went. Police chief's not here, but the fire chief's report.
Nothing tonight.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's quite all right. Under correspondence, I have the Finance Committee report of 6/18, the Emergency Service Committee report of 7/16, the Parks and Rec Committee report of 6/11, the Laws, Rules, and Ordinance meeting of 6/25, and the Treasurer's report. Could I have a motion to accept the correspondence as stated?
I move that the correspondence be accepted as stated.
Thank you, Ms. Binko. Could I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We will now go to reading of ordinances and resolutions. We have no third readings tonight. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only, Resolution 13-03.
Resolution 13-03, a resolution authorizing and directing the city auditor to make a request to the state auditor to establish a special economic development fund as established by ordinance 08-13.
Does council wish to take any action this evening on Resolution 13-03? Seeing none, that will be moved to the August 13th meeting for its third reading. We will now go to new readings of ordinances and resolutions. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only? Ordinance 27-13.
Ordinance 27-13, an ordinance authorizing amending Chapter 351 of the codified ordinances of the city regulating parking in the city of Fort Clinton and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action this evening on ordinance 27-13? Seeing none, that will also be moved to the August 13th agenda for its second reading. Would the clerk read by title and summary only ordinance 28-13?
Ordinance 28-13, an ordinance creating Chapter 352 of the codified ordinances, creating non-criminal parking infractions for the city of Fort Clinton and establishing a parking violations bureau for the city and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action this evening on ordinance 28-13? Mr. Schneider.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't wish to take any formal action this evening other than to recognize that the Emergency Services Committee has met on several occasions to discuss this particular ordinance, and we have a recommendation to approve this ordinance, and the recommendation would be that we approve the ordinance at its second reading, which will be the first reading in August. And I have this information for the clerk. I'm happy we'll pass it. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other discussion, we will move that to the August 13th meeting for its second reading. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 29-13?
Ordinance 29-13, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to enter into an agreement with Tokemire Design Group for engineering services and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action this evening on ordinance 29-13? Seeing none, we will move that for its second reading to the August 13th meeting. Would the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 30-13?
Ordinance 30-13, an ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for the construction of an expansion and renovation project for the Fort Clinton Fire Station located at 1755 East State Road and declaring an emergency.
Does council wish to take any action this evening on ordinance 30-13? Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, I don't wish to take any formal action, but I would like to recognize again that the Emergency Services Committee, along with Fire Chief Kent Johnson and others, met on several occasions to discuss this particular issue. And the recommendation from the committee is that, again, we adopt this ordinance on its second reading. I have this information for the clerk. I would also like to speak for myself, but I think I'm speaking on behalf of the rest of my committee in thanking Chief Johnson for his diligent attention to every detail on this project, and the 5-year plan that he has stuck to over the past couple of years to make this day possible is very, very commendable. Thank you.
Seeing no other discussion, we will move ordinance 30-13 to the August 13th meeting for its second reading. We'll go to business from the floor, but first I'd like to say that the Planning and Development Committee had charged me with working on an MOU with the Lighthouse Conservancy Group, scheduled to be completed by, I think it was August 6th. And I sent Mr. Norgard an email. Did I CC you? Yes, I was having some computer problems. Asking him if we could mutually decide to put that off until after the Mike Rose presentation. He did email me back, and that was fine with that. And he said after the presentation we would sit down to determine the date. But I don't know if he CC'd you on that or not.
Okay, so you will determine a new date when you meet with them?
Right.
All right.
Hey, Mr. Copper.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess the only thing sorry to see Randy go and wish him the best in whatever he has to do at this time. And that's all, Madam President.
Thank you. Mr. Ackerman.
Thank you very much, Madam President. A few things I'd like to echo Mr. Copper's sentiments. Councilman Lipstra, I wish him the best at what he needs to do, and I'd like to thank him for all the guidance and information he has provided me over the last 18 months in learning how to be a councilman for the city of Fort Clinton. Secondly, Madam President, we have a few dates on the calendar. August 5th at 4 o'clock, the Friends of the Park will be meeting at St. Thomas Church. August 13th, the regularly scheduled Parks and Recreation Cemetery meeting will take place at 6:30. August 17th, it's the Friends of the Park yard sale at Lakeview Park, and that'll go on from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. As always, keep your stomachs open that morning for the pancakes. A very tasty treat. August 19th, the West End Conestoga group will be meeting at the Baton Intermediate School. A side note on that, I'd like to congratulate former Port Clinton Middle School teacher, Jeff Halsey, with his appointment as the principal at Baton Intermediate School. August 24th, 10 a.m., the West End Conestoga neighborhood party will take place at West End Park. So if you have some time that day, come out to the neighborhood, see what's going on. And I'll leave it at that for all of those wonderful dates, Madam President. Thank you very much for your time.
Ms. Bako.
I was going to ask a few questions about the appraisal, but since the mayor's not here, I'll hold those. And also going to be taking a page from Councilman Koppler and surveying my constituents about some of these issues at a future date. And I would like to announce that there will be a Planning and Development Committee meeting as regularly scheduled Tuesday, August 6th at 5:30 p.m. And that's all I have tonight, Madam President. Thank you.
Ms. Snell.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Madam President. Just an update on the Emergency Services Olympics. Earlier today, the fire EMS team and the law enforcement team competed in the 6th event, fishing. And the fire and EMS team won that event, making the overall score 5-1. With only 3 events left, fire EMS has wrapped up the trophy for the second of 3 years, with law enforcement in between there. Hopefully they will make the decision to continue the other events just for the heck of it. Miniature golf, dodgeball, and cornhole are the other events. The Port Clinton Firefighters Association is having their annual chicken barbecue. I have tickets here. They're $8 each. It will be Sunday, August 11th from 11 until 2 at the fire station. See me for those tickets, again, $8 each. And finally, the tip from the chief this evening comes from Chief Kent Johnson. Even though it's been very, very wet, you still have to be mindful of mulch because it dries out really quickly, and placing of cigarettes and lighters and matches and so forth. The department has responded to at least one mulch fire, so you have to be mindful of that. If mulch is right up against the house, you may want to consider putting in some type of river rock instead. And with that, again, I will speak with Randy tomorrow. I'll stop by shopping and talk to him. So thank you.
You're welcome. Members of the audience. Mr. Youngkin.
Jerry Youngkin, 117 Cedar Street. The secrecy surrounding this proposal, will we be able to keep it away from John Schaffner and his recording crew?
Excuse me, Mr. Youngkin, I take note of your word of secrecy. There is no secrecy.
Okay.
That's why the mayor has said that we will not see it prior to the meeting, so there would be no secrecy. So I take offense to your statement.
Well-
Because we're trying to be very open about it.
I'll apologize for that statement, but I'll also get back to Mr. Schaffner. Will we be able to keep it from Mr.
As
Schaffner?
far
and-
as far as I know, it's not going to be released. I cannot determine what Mr. Rose is going to do. We asked him not to have a meeting prior to. We asked him that we would have a meeting in an open setting with all of council and any member of the city that would like to come in, and we could all see it at once.
But we're allowed to speculate.
You may speculate as much as you like, but I do
Okay.
take offense at you calling it secretive when we spent so much
I
time
did-
to keep it
I didn't mean
open.
no harm by that.
Okay?
I should have said city business.
Anybody else? Did you have more to offend me with this evening? Or
We'll see.
Okay.
These ordinances that are going to be read next on the second reading
On August
and
13th.
passed, can we have a little insight into what's going on with the parking? What it all means?
Sure. Mr. Wilbur, would you like to address that? Or talk about the parking violation? Creation of the parking issue 352 is creating a parking violations bureau. It's in response to litigation that the city was involved in a while back, and it makes it a civil matter as opposed to a criminal matter, a parking violation within the city of Fort Worth. And it just creates that section of the codified ordinances, replacing the old section. In addition to the old section. Anything I left out legally applies?
It decriminalizes the parking
Okay.
violations. Rather than having an action filed in municipal court, it will be a civil infraction. It can be handled by a infractions officer that will be employed through the police department, where people can come in and pay their parking ticket or parking infraction notice. If they object to it, there's a procedure for them to file their objection and a proceeding for a hearing if they want to object to it. It should make it a little more streamlined, should be a little more cost effective, and the amounts that are still out there as fines for violations stayed the same. It didn't increase the cost.
Okay.
And if I might add, we're not reinventing the wheel by any means here. This is a program that's been in